Hello there. Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to tie a small tube fly. This is a tube fly for salmon and sea trout. In the streams it works very well, and I've caught quite a lot of sea trouts on this fly. It's a fairly easy pattern tied on Pro tube fly system. So what we're going to use is, as you can see here, I have mounted a nanotube, a black nanotube from Pro. And on this I have added a drop weight in the size large. So, well, if I just pull, this is how it works. You attach the nanotube and then you just slide over the drop weight. I'm gonna use a size large, even though this is a fairly small fly, because what I want to do is I want to have a fairly heavy fly, because this fly fishes very well if it's near the bottom. Alright, what we're going to use today is some French partridge dyed golden olive, some Arctic fox, some angel hair, and some Pro artificial jungle cock, and well, that's about it. Besides from these tube flies stuff. Okay, first of all we're going to tie in a hackle. And these partridge feathers French partridge feathers are very good, because they have the tips of them are in different colors, so they add some nice contrast, and also they are very soft, so they move freely in the water. Tying one of these down in the tip of the feather. Cutting this thing off. And well, then basically just turning it. Not gonna have that many turns on this fly, so 2 or 3 turns is sufficient. Like that. Making sure everything is exactly where I want it to be. And then cutting off the feather stem, like so. These drop weights are nice because, in addition to adding a lot of weight to the fly, they also, because they have this high dent up here, they will keep your materials lifted outwards, so that your fly won't just look like a thin line in the water. It will actually have some bulk and some volume, which is great. So I'm taking a small bundle of Arctic char. Not Arctic char, of course, Arctic fox. I'm not gonna tie a trout. And the way you use these hairs is I'm gonna take a fairly large amount of the long fibers, and I'm also gonna take a lot of the woolly part of the wing here. Like so is just about right. Attaching this on the top of the tube. This is going to be a small, fairly sparse wing, because I don't want this fly to be fairly large. What this fly has going for it is that it has actually a lot of the colors that you find often near streams, and because this is a small fly, it's inconspicuous until it is right in the face of the trout or a salmon, and at that point the trout and the salmon only have a short period of time to decide if it's gonna grab the fly or not. And that is one of the advantages of this fly, because it is because it's heavy, it's going to be right in the face of the trout, the salmon, and it gives them a very short reaction time. And in this short reaction time, I have come to notice that, well, not every time, because I'm not catching every trout or salmon that I'm presenting this to, but more frequent than with other flies, the trout will simply attack this one and grab it. I had a kind of funny and peculiar experience when I first had made this fly. I was going to try to fish it in a Danish stream, and and it was a bit too early to start the fishing because the Danish sea trout fishing often is night fishing with the fly. But I had had some okay experiences with this fly during the daytime. So I was going to a stream I had never fished before, and as I arrived, as I was saying, a bit too early actually. I met another guy who was fishing with a rapala, and he'd just fished over the stretch of water that I wanted to fish, and he said he'd seen a fish or two, but he hadn't had any luck. So I thought, what the hell, I'm gonna give it a try anyway. So I went down on the river bank, and as I stood there contemplating how to begin my fishing, I just tied in another smaller ring here to make this fly a bit thicker. I saw a fish splash on the surface, not rising, not taking any insects, just I don't know, it was showing off or something like that. Then I attached this olive ghost, and I took one cast, my first cast ever in this stream, and the trout rose, grabbed the fly, and I landed a nice sea trout of 62 centimeters on my first cast ever in a new stream, where a man with the rapala lure had just passed over with no luck whatsoever. And well, I kind of liked that. I must say that was a nice experience. So I just took some angel hair in the color chartreuse, which is not really chartreuse. It's more like golden olive, and tied it in just over the wing here, like so. I'm gonna cut these off so they're not as long as this is. Further on the tying here, and then we're gonna do some. Oh, I think I want one last hackle here, just to make everything beautiful. Taking one last partridge hackle. Again, attaching it in the tip of the feather. Like so. So this is a fly that I always carry with me when I go sea trout fishing, because, well, as I said, I've had quite a lot of good experience with it. I have even a couple of times fished this in very small streams, where I have just cast very short casts, and then let it sink, and then just stripping 1 meter very hard, so the fly accelerates out from under the bank. And if you're lucky and there is a sea trout there, sometimes, and I've seen this, tried this a couple of times now, a sea trout will accelerate out from under the bank and grab it while you're seeing it, and that is just, well, awesome. I'm just gonna see if everything is in place, or I think everything is right where I want it to be. So now I'm taking 2 of these artificial jungle cock from sportsfisher. They come on a small sheet like this, and you just cut 1 or 2 of them out, and these are actually extremely durable. So the guy who produces them, he had one on a fly that was sitting in an aquarium, where it had been for like 3 months, and all the other colors on this fly had this is too small. This was the small one. It was too small. I'm gonna take the size up. I think that was actually extra small, but the small one will suffice. Well, I've got a bottle with those. I'm gonna take the proper ones. I'm gonna take the real jungle cock for this fly. The jungle cocks I have, the real jungle cock I have in the shop, are of course certified, so they come from from 100% legal birds. Otherwise, of course, I wouldn't have them in the shop. Just stripping up the sides here to attach this exactly where I want it to be, like so, and just taking the feather and turning it over, so I'm sure that this junk cock will stay exactly in place. Doing the same on the other side. That's where I want it. Then I'm gonna make my whip finish. Right there. And of course now I have to cut off this this little other part of the jungle cock. I only turned around and tied down to make sure that this was fastened correctly. And I'm gonna take my varnish, apply a little of that to the head, and then I'm gonna take my gold cone head and put it on there as well. This is of course to add some extra weight, but also it just looks great on the fly with the cone head. So this is a fairly heavy, fairly small fly, but due to the hackles and the properties of the Arctic fox, then this will be of course a fairly nice swimming tube fly as well. The last thing you want to do is you want to cut off the pipe, the tube, and then apply a lighter to here, and just don't let it touch the tube, but just warm it up so the plastic kind of like shrinks backwards and fasten the cone head. Well, there you have it. A small deadly fly for both salmon and sea trouts. And I'm sure this will work in Norway or in Scotland or wherever you may roam. Well, those were the words. Thank you for listening.